Good morning and good day. Welcome to Centize, episode 6. I'm truly grateful for everyone here today, and I hope that you have been enjoying this podcast as much as I have been. Today, I want to talk about what I have learned about anxiety, fear of death, and what happens to us when we do die. And I've learned all of this from the subconscious, from the many QHHT sessions that I have done over the past several months. So it's been a whirlwind, and I would love to share with you what I have learned. So anxiety and fear of death. So when you think about tomorrow, that's anxiety. And when you think about the past, that's depression. Don't worry about tomorrow. Focus on what you have in the present moment always. Do you have a roof over your head today? Do you have food in your belly? Do your kids know how much you love them? If the answer is yes, then you have done your job. Thinking about tomorrow is anxiety and not necessary because we don't know what happens in the next hour, day, or week. So remain fully present at all times. That is what this life is about. Enjoying what you have in your present moment without any expectation of the outcome. When you set those expectations, you set yourself up for disappointment. Disappointment causes anger, which brings your vibration down. And when you bring your vibration down, that's when you have those horse blinders on that I talked about in the last episode. So act and think with love from the heart always, and know that no matter what happens in life, no one ever really dies. We all wake up to our entire soul beings, soul family, knowing that we are always safe and protected. Now, I like to refer to the body as a meat suit, okay? So, for example, if someone gets into a car accident and breaks a leg, well, the soul of that person is safe. It's just the meat suit that got injured. Same with an airplane crash. Sure, the body didn't survive the crash, but the soul does. The point is that everything is energy. And no matter what the scene looks like, good or bad, you are always safe, protected, and divinely guided. Same goes for your kids and for every being that walks this planet. We all contribute in the creation of our realities. We all have roles to play in each other's life. Earth is considered the greatest college for schools. It's the hardest because it's so, physical and has an array of emotions that we all have to experience at some point or another. But Earth helps shape a soul and helps a soul continue to grow in the soul realm. It's a giant play that we all have parts in. And Earth, well, she is alive. She is Gaia, and she lives and breathes. She's changing and ascending, just like us humans. And as she changes, we change. But the changes are for the better. Even the ones that come and are natural disasters and that look chaotic and terrifying. But when the natural disasters happen and those people die in those natural disasters, those meat suits die, the souls wake up knowing that they chose to be part of that devastation. And the moaning you just heard was my puppy stretching. Thank you, Renesmee. So they chose to be part of this devastation. They chose this because their death would essentially help awaken others, more specifically their Earth families. We all choose exit points before we reincarnate. You cannot exit your existence until you have reached a possible exit point. So no matter how the meat suit dies, you chose it before you got here. And if you choose to wake up early, then you may have a soul contract with your kids or someone else entirely to help teach them a lesson of some sort. Everything on earth is about learning. It's never to bring anyone down because no one really dies. And no soul ever experiences the pain of their own death. The soul exits the body before that happens. It's simply the body reacting at that point. Now, something obviously has caused a person to fear death, right? There's a lot of people out there that fear death. My wife was one of them. And I believe that a lack of a belief system in who and what they are can definitely have an impact on a person. So when you think that this is it and that there's nothing else, like when you die, you're going to go to heaven or hell, that creates the separation of self from God. When you work on the foundation of your belief system, you realize that you and God are one and the same. So this removes the fear of death. We all carry a spark inside of us, the flame of God. God is literally having a human experience billions and billions of times over and over again at the same time. I had spoken about in a previous episode about how God is like a giant octopus. Now, this is clearly an analogy, so I want you to use your imagination. Imagine God as a giant octopus over top of Earth. The head of the octopus is God, and then his tentacles are all over different parts of the earth. Walking, doing, creating. But instead of God having one single earthly experience, he created a bunch of himself having a separate experience at the same time. This way he could learn more at once. God doesn't live in you. He is you. Or she, whichever you prefer to refer to God by. But the problem is that we reincarnated with amnesia. We don't remember who we truly are or what we are doing here. But now we have people waking up and remembering. And part of that remembering is knowing that you and God are one and the same. And when you feel this deep into your core, your entire life changes. Your existence changes. Nothing is as urgent as it seems. Being present in every day, every moment, every hour is how you flow with the universe. Show gratitude for what you have at this very moment. And sure, some people would argue that God wouldn't make a person homeless or wouldn't be part of war. Well, yes. Yes, he would. You see, when you understand that this entire existence is about learning and growing, then you understand why we have people who are homeless, or why we have drug addicts, or why there's murderers. Free will plays a big part of this role as well. Something you have control over. For example, say you're about to get married and you aren't sure if it's what you really want to do. So you are leaving yourself with two options. One option is to go forth and get married. And the other is to stop the wedding and not get married at all. Well, you are putting your energy into both of these options. And let's say you choose to get married. Well, the energy for the second option has to play out. So that creates a parallel reality where you are not getting married. You see, everything is energy. Everything is creation. and everything is learning. Someone who ends up homeless on the street is learning a very valuable lesson or is teaching someone else a valuable lesson. Someone who chooses to murder someone else used their free will and did that. But you can't stay focused on that immediate act. That's narrow-minded thinking. You have to expand and look at the greater picture. Who learned what in this scenario? And remember, no one ever really dies. Same when the Hiroshima bomb was dropped. Yes, that was absolutely tragic. But what did we learn from it? Have we used something of this magnitude again? No. Lessons and learning. And ultimately creating. Creating is also what we're here to do. You have to lead with your heart, lead with compassion, and remember that we are all connected. We all have that spark. We are all God having a human experience. And as we continue our individual journeys, I encourage each and every one of you to not compare your journey to someone else's journey, because they are all individual. Some people chose to wake up sooner than others. Some people chose to wake up someone else. It's all soul contract related. And some people chose before they reincarnated that they will wake up at the very last second, because there was some lessons that they still needed to learn that they thought they would learn best if they waited. So no one gets left behind. Everyone makes it. It's just how you have set up your own contract from the beginning. And again, we don't remember, but we're starting to. So don't compare yourself ever in life, not even on the awakening journey that you might be on now. Sure, some people have bigger houses, nicer things, while you might be living in a studio apartment. That's okay. Because I learned something very valuable this week. And I didn't learn it until my best friend and I were talking about it. And she said it, and it just clicked in my head. That home is where the heart is. I've seen the movie, watched it several times. I've heard this saying over and over again for my entire life. And I never fully understood it until now. Home is where the heart is. Home is wherever you feel at home inside your heart. If your heart is pure, if your heart is full of love, full of gratitude, full of compassion, then the four walls that surround you, that create the space of your house, of your living arrangement, it doesn't matter the size. It could be a tent in the middle of the woods. If you are home inside yourself, you feel that connection to God, to Source, to Jesus, to Yeshua, to whatever you call him, to the universe. It doesn't matter where you're at. You could be living on the streets as a homeless person and still feel that home inside your heart. You could be sitting in a prison cell because you decided to kill someone. And you could have found that peace inside prison. So it's all about learning. And we see that often too, right? When someone does end up in prison, they always say that they found God while they were inside? Well, it's true. It's true. Because when you remove yourself from a situation, from an environment that wasn't a vibrational match to begin with, and you use your free will to do something of a nature that someone else would look down upon, and you end up in prison, what do you have to do in that time but go inward? And when you do that, that's when you find out that you are God, that you are home, and your home is wherever you feel at home in. So we don't need big fancy houses. We don't need the nicest $120,000 pickup truck or Maserati or, whatever type of vehicle you drive. We could simply be as happy and as loving in a tiny house, in a tent in the backyard, or simply sleeping under the stars. This life is not about the material aspects of it. The materials are great, right? They're part of the process. But when you can separate yourself from the material, you realize that what you need is all inside. We don't need 4 different couches. We don't need a house with 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. It's not necessary. And I've loved watching the beauty in the community that is being created by the people all around, all over the world. Because so many people are realizing that we just need to help each other and be one with each other, because that's what we are. We're all connected. We're all related. It's not about blood. It never was. Sure, it started off as that. And some people who aren't awakening yet or remember think that blood is all there is. No, it's not. You chose that family. You chose those siblings. You chose that mom. You chose that dad because you chose them for the lessons that you would learn in that family. No matter how traumatic your life was, your childhood was, you chose it because there was something in there that you needed to learn. And as hard as that is to believe, I would not have believed that myself if it wasn't for QHHT. Just about every single person that has come to have a session with me has had so much trauma in their childhood, more than I ever thought was possible. Like, you hear about child molestations, you hear about rape, you hear about abuse. But when you sit down and you talk, well, I'll put a number out there. We'll say 30. You sit down and you talk to 30 people, and 28 out of the 30 have all experienced something like that. It blows your mind. And you start to realize that it's more common than we even think. And it's common because of the lessons we've learned. And it doesn't matter how bad the trauma was for you, because it was that bad for you, but it was also that bad for someone else and their trauma that they went through, right? Again, this isn't about comparing trauma versus trauma, because it affects you in a way that is meant for you, same way as it does for someone else. And with this 11/11 portal that just passed yesterday, I had a massive purge that I had to get through, a lesson that I thought I learned, but I didn't. And a little backstory, you know, I grew up on a farm. I grew up with horses, barrel racing. We did it all. And one of the biggest sayings when I was younger that was drilled into my head over and over again was, you know, cowgirl up, cowboy up, cowgirl up, cowboy up. That was, if you fell off your horse, cowgirl up, get back on the horse, suck it up. Playing basketball, cowgirl up, hurt your ankle, suck it up, don't cry. And when I was younger, yeah, I didn't understand. That was it. That was my motto in life, cowgirl up. And no hate towards any of my family members that taught me this, because they taught me this for what I needed to learn. And I didn't learn it until yesterday. But that slogan taught me to hold in my emotions. It taught me that my feelings weren't valid. It taught me that showing weakness was not good. It taught me to hide how I was truly feeling all the time and to only show strength, because nobody wants to see weakness. And it taught me to be a people pleaser and to seek external validation. Right. All of this came to the front yesterday. And it was hard. I spent 5.5 hours crying, screaming, crying. I had all of this repressed emotions that I had to get out. And it was a situation in my life that this last situation that finally just triggered all of it. And as we raise our vibrations, we'll be forced to face these emotions head on, these lessons. Because you heal in layers. It's like peeling back an onion. Every layer you have to heal. And I had 35 years of this to heal. And I pray that I'm done from it because it was rough yesterday. But if I'm not, that's okay. That's okay. But I feel incredible today. I feel so much better today, so much lighter. Because I learned that my feelings are valid. I learned that I have built up so many walls that it's okay to express who I am, to be authentic. And if I want to cry, it's okay. It's okay to cry. If I'm in pain, it's okay to be in pain. I don't need to be tough all the time. I don't need to be strong all the time. Because if I'm so focused on being strong for everyone else, I'm not being strong for myself. I push myself aside when I need to show up for myself first. Because again, we are all one. And when we go inward and we heal ourselves, we heal each other. And we can do better. And we can have the compassion for the ones that caused us the pain in life, that caused us the trauma, that caused us the discomfort. We can have compassion for them. And I didn't understand that either until I was having a conversation with my best friend. And she told me how she was able to move on from a situation in her life by having compassion for her family member. And that struck me so deep because I understand compassion, I understand love, and I understand forgiveness. But to be able to look at a parent, at a sibling, at a boss, at whomever caused you pain and sit back and go, wow, I'm really sorry for whatever you went through that caused you to react the way that you did towards me. And I love you for it. And I thank them for it. I thank them in my heart. I thank them with my soul. I thank them in meditation. Because if my family, my people didn't react in the way that they did, then I wouldn't have learned the lesson that I just learned. So isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful how it all just comes around full circle? There is no hate. There is no anger. It's just lessons. It's just love. Love and authenticity is at the core of energy of every single thing. And that's what we have to remember. I say I love you to everyone all the time. I say it on every Facebook post. I say it on every TikTok message. And I'm sure when people see it, they're like, yeah, he's just saying that. No. Because I believe me saying it to others, they'll hear it. They might not be, it might not be reciprocated. I don't even know how that word is said, but you get the whole gist. But it plants a seed, right? And that's what we're here to do. Especially for the people who are starting on their awakening journey, is we're planting seeds. And they'll have a moment later and they'll go, oh, that reminds me of something that someone said. And they'll be like, that makes sense because you planted the seed. And a seed always grows. And the seeds will continue to grow the more you go inward, the more you take care of yourself, the more you face your inner child, the more you heal your inner child. Because your inner child is where your creativity comes from. And so you have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn who you are and why you're here. And you have to overcome every fear, every limiting belief, because all of the fear, all of these limiting beliefs were created to control. And we're moving past control. There's no need for it. There's no reason to control anything. I like to remind my wife and I this all the time, especially when if she's having a moment feeling triggered or anyone else is having a moment feeling triggered. Remember, you have a bubble around you, okay? And there's Renesmee moaning again. So you have a bubble around your own body. I can control what's inside your bubble, and you cannot control what's inside my bubble. But I can tell you what I can control. I can control me. I can control my actions, my responses. You never want to react to a situation. You want to respond to a situation. So if somebody triggers you so tragically and you instantly want to react with anger, I encourage you to pause. Because in that moment, that trigger is showing you something that you believe so deeply that you react with such anger. I'll encourage you to just pause and think about it. What is this trying to teach me? What is it showing me? And then just respond gently. Once you've thought about it, obviously. And always remember that truth does not need volume. I'm so glad that Renesmee was able to make an appearance today on today's podcast. I thank you, Renesmee. I love you so much. Your moans are absolutely adorable. And to all of my listeners, I really appreciate you taking the time and listening to my podcast. This isn't something that I ever thought I would be doing in life. And it is something that I've been divinely guided to do. And when you get into the flow, you'll find that these little breadcrumbs come into your life, and you follow those breadcrumbs, because the path, the journey you're on, is never a straight, clean, forward path. No, it's got mountains, it's got valleys, it's got river bends. It's not straight by any means, but you'll have little breadcrumbs along the way that I encourage you to follow, because you don't know what will come of it. And the breadcrumbs are there for a reason. And if you go with the flow, they'll keep coming. And you follow the next breadcrumb, and you follow the next breadcrumb, and it takes you to the next exciting thing. And it just continues to take you on your path. I like to consider the breadcrumbs little signs, right? From the universe. Like, you're going in the right direction. Okay, we've come around this bend. Here's another breadcrumb. What are you going to do with this breadcrumb? How are you going to create with this breadcrumb? Because creation is what we're here to do. That's what God is here to do. That's what you are here to do, to create. I love you all so much. I greatly appreciate your time. And I hope that you have an absolute wonderful day today, with much love and so much thanks.